Some thoughts on software engineering. So, it's not always required that you know the algos or data structure. So, when you join a company, um, they're gonna have a mature code base, right? And that code base is gonna have the core. That core is mostly gonna stay untouched, right? Or it's gonna be touched by someone who is really senior, has been around since the beginning. Okay, so when you join the company, you're not gonna touch that system, and that core of the system is gonna have some sort of algorithms running, right? So now that is to say you don't need to study algorithms. Okay, when you look at an algorithm, you should be able to just detect what sort of algorithm it is using, right? So if you see some random things in a loop, you should be able to tell, is it does it fall under an algorithm or not? If you look at it and you can tell it does fall under an algorithm, then you can Google the name of that algorithm, right? But that implies you know something about that algorithm, or you have studied algorithms in general. That is where knowing algorithms come handy. You know, you have kind of been introduced to the algorithms, and then you can look at what's there, figure out whether it falls under some category or not. If it does, then you Google it. Um, then you don't need to browse the code anymore. That core, that foundation, you don't have to browse it anymore, because you can simply Google that algo, and then you can find out, you can look at it in its most simple form, right? And if you don't know how that algorithm works, you can understand how it does. Then you will understand how the core of that system works suddenly. You see how you didn't know what too much about the algorithm, but you could look at it visually and make sense of it, or just know what it's called. To that extent, everyone should know what algorithm is, right? Just because there is tests and other things, there is documentations, there is senior people who can explain you things, does not mean you lack knowledge in that particular area. You should know, as a developer, you should be able to look at things and tell what's going on there, right? Because like I said, when you join the company, you're not going to work on the core, but when you look at the core, you should be able to tell what it's using, what sort of formulas, whatever that is, right? So in that aspect, algorithms is good to know. Then data structure is the same thing. A lot of times people store data in very clever way. I call it clever because if I don't know what structure it's stored in, I will automatically think it's very clever. Unless again I can look at the structure and just make some guess, right? And oh, it's stored in that structure, it's stacks, it's arrays, whatever it is, So that much knowledge everyone should have in software engineering, right? Then you have systems that don't have any algorithms at all, right? So people create these systems, and sometimes unintentionally they end up creating algorithms, right? If they knew that particular algorithm existed, then straight away it would come in their head, and they would be able to implement integrate that algorithm into the system straight away if they knew these sort of things existed. So it's very good to know that algorithms exist, what sort of algorithms exist, what are the benefits. Same with data structures. It's good to know that. You don't have to be an expert. All the lead code stuff is to get your step in the door, right? That doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna use it at the job, but when you see one, your knowledge should be backed up by the theory that you read at some point in your career. So anyone who's starting off, you don't need to know, but once you get some experience, once you understand how web dev works, things like APIs, um, working with different databases, working with unstructured data. Once you have a little bit of experience, it's good to dig into these sort of things, and they come really handy at some point. I mean, to be fair, in web dev, the more knowledge you have, the better, because then you can, the more aware you are of things in general, the more you can just close your eyes and just imagine how everything's fit together, right? This kind of allows you to zoom out, look at the bigger picture, and then propose a solution, right? Which includes a lot of the services, a lot of the third-party services that you can use to um, help you create your software, right? It's good to be aware of that. Likewise, it's good to be aware of data structures and algorithms and other things as well. So those are some thoughts for you. I hope it's helpful.